Do you find yourself relying on the same basic 2 or 3 climbs at the beginning of a routine or when it comes time to express yourself on silks? Are you looking for ways to expand your creativity and give you more options in your climbs? Then this presentation is designed just for you. Welcome to Creative Climbing on Silks, my presentation for the Revival Aerial Summit. I'm Laura Dossi, and I've been an aerial artist since 2011. My circus journey began at the age of 40 after a career as a professional ballet and contemporary dancer and yoga teacher. I actually took my first aerial class on a whim from a Groupon I received in an email, and I never knew it would lead me to such an amazing, fulfilling career as a well-known aerial performer and coach. Like many of us, I fell in love and was hooked from my very first climb. My extensive background in dance helped me excel very quickly, and before I knew it, I was creating my own acts, performing, and teaching. In fact, the first full act I ever created caught the eyes of a scout from America's Got Talent, and I was invited to appear on AGT in 2014. I'm forever grateful for that opportunity to inspire millions of people across the world with my art. I've even heard from so many other aerialists that my performance on AGT is what led them to pursue aerial arts, and nothing warms my heart more. I've performed extensively at high-end, large-scale corporate events and weddings, music festivals, and award-winning theatrical productions. I've also taught hundreds of students through in-person and online classes, private lessons, and workshops. My personal style as an aerialist has a very dance-like quality of graceful movements, extended clean lines, seamless transitions, and creative expression through choreography. I'm here today to share with you all of the various aspects to think about and explore when it comes to climbing silks. Most of the time when we're training, and this is true for myself as well, our climb is very utilitarian. We just want to get up on the fabric so we can practice our skills or work on some conditioning drills. We usually fall into one of two camps, either French climb or Russian climb, depending on your preferences. But when it comes time for creative expression, free-form improvisation, or coming up with choreography for a routine, there are an infinite number of climbing possibilities if we can challenge ourselves to think outside the box a little bit. Your climb is the first point of contact and connection with your fabric, the first thing an audience sees, the first impression you get to make. If you want to make that moment unique and remarkable, there are many things to consider, lots of questions you can ask yourself to get your creative juices flowing. What are the various dynamics you can explore while climbing? Are you moving fast or slow? Are your movements large or small? Are they sharp or are they soft? What emotion or feeling are you wanting to convey? In what ways can your free limbs move? Can you play with a variety of elevations, such as standing up and reaching, crouching down, folding over, extending out? Where are some places to pause for stillness and take a breath? Where are the transitions where one climb ends and the next one begins? And where else can you go from there? How do you lift off from the ground in that initial moment? And are there any elements you can explore there? My favorite is to spin. Oftentimes when we're doing a non-traditional climb, we repeat the same steps of the sequence either on the same side or on the opposite side for symmetry. What if we were to mix things up? So for instance, let's say you're doing a split strand climbing sequence that you know and love, but instead of simply repeating the steps of that sequence a few times to make your way up the fabric, you change things up. take the transition, you switch to a different split strand climbing sequence. I find most climbs either begin in a bent arm or straight arm hang. Right? From there, you either use your feet in some sort of manner, or you invert to catch the fabric with your leg, your knee, you do a crochet. What are the options for poses before that initial foot climb? Knee hook, crochet, wrap, whatever you're going into. And you want to consider the end of your climb too. What's the final position or pose? Again, most of the time that's going to be a bent arm or a straight arm hang, possibly a hip key or a leg key type position. So what are the possibilities from there? What else can that pose or position lead into? Another creative option could be to mix up split strand and single strand climbs. So let's say you start your climb with the fabrics together. Somewhere in a transitional moment, you find a place to bring those strands, you start with the strands together, you find a transition to separate the strands and go into a split strand climb. Or you can do the opposite thing. You can start with the strands separated, and then somewhere in one of your transitions, you can bring those strands together. So let's take a look at some examples so I can show you what I'm talking about. So in this first example, I'm starting with a split strand climb, and of course my favorite, a spin. Sometimes when you spin, the tails get tangled around your feet, so I take this little movement with my legs to resolve that. And as I invert, I take a moment to pose and extend my lines before I go into my first initial knee hook in this climb. And I'm moving through the sequence here. I'm finding another moment where I can extend and just enjoy that spin and bringing my thigh over to make my way up the fabric in this climb. Then I'm going to invert again and switch to a different split strand climb this time. And taking a moment to reach out, extend, and enjoy, conveying an expansive feeling. And again, just taking my time here as I make my way up the fabric, not in any hurry. Completing the sequence, and then moving into yet another split strand climb. Playing with some different shapes of my body. And this time I'm repeating on the other side, since this climb doesn't travel up the fabric very far, taking just this nice extended pose, expressing joy, expansive feeling. So here I'm bringing the fabrics together to switch into a single strand climb and a single strand finishing pose. So for this particular climb, I'm starting with a single strand. The feeling that I'm choosing to convey here is more angst, more sorrow. So my movements are going to be more slow, more drawn out. So after my climb, I take a moment to reach, to extend, and then as I turn around, I fold over to give a dynamic level change. I use my arms and the position of my body to convey the feeling I'm wanting to express. And then as I release my foot, I switch to a different climb here, a Russian twist climb. Some of the movements are echoed from the previous climb in the way that I curl into myself. I use my arms to express a certain feeling, and I keep my movements very slow, very controlled. And as I release my feet, I transition right into my next climb, which is an inverted climb here. And I'm taking a moment to pause, to extend and reach my free limbs before I climb up and over, and again using this curled in sort of feeling to convey a sense of sorrow or angst or longing. And now at this transition, I'm splitting my strands just to give the climb a little bit different look, a little variety. And again, I choose here to invert and take a moment after I crochet my first leg to explore some movement options with my free limbs, before continuing my climb up and finishing that climbing sequence in a leg key to swim under to a hip key. Again, releasing my feet with some dramatic movements of the legs, and then bringing the strands together with my foot. Now for this climb, my movements are a little faster, a little sharper. The feeling is just a little more hurried, maybe a little more frantic. So you can see I'm starting with a split strand climb and just doing a few variations of fast, sharp, some swinging movements here as well. And making my way up as I continue into a third variation and then a fourth variation of a split strand climb, just conveying different feeling, different use of my body. In this example, I'm starting with a single strand climb and a nice spin. So I take a pose before my initial knee hook. This is actually one of my favorite climbs as it has many opportunities for some beautiful poses as you make your way up the fabric. And here again, it's just a nice joyous feeling, beauty, expansion, and having fun. As I complete this climb, I then reach up and split my strands to go into a different split strand sequence for a variety of just an alternate look, playing with some level changes as I make that transition and prepare for all the wraps of this particular climb. And there's a nice moment where I can pose, I can use my arm to convey expansion, joy, beauty, completing this climbing sequence and finding places where my free limbs can move before I complete the climb and I'm at the top. These are only a few of the possibilities of the myriad of options you have when it comes to creative climbing. At your next training session, see how many different combinations you can come up with as you make your way up the fabric. Put on some music that moves you and get creative. The only limit is your imagination. And the most important thing to remember while exploring creative climbing is take your time and have fun. If you're wanting some inspiration about different ways to move your body, whether that's during your climbs or within aerial sequences and routines, I have the perfect thing for you. I've created Finding Your Flow, a session of various movement practices that combines my years of extensive training in ballet, contemporary dance, and yoga to offer you guidance in expressive movements. In this video training, I lead you through exercises exploring shapes, planes of movement, body awareness, lines, and fluidity so you can feel more graceful and expressive. Finding Your Flow is completely free, so click the link on or below this video and sign up with your email address to gain access to these practices. It's my way of saying thank you for watching this presentation and will help give you more confidence in ways to move your body. I also wanted to let you know that I'll be teaching an extended workshop all about creative climbing on silks very soon, in which I break down and teach some of the examples I showed you here and so much more. This will be a virtual online workshop accessible from anywhere in the world as long as you have a safe place to practice aerial silks. So once you grab your copy of Finding Your Flow, I'll be able to share all the details of my workshop with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this information with you. It was an absolute joy. I hope you feel inspired to get more creative and explore the endless possibilities of your unique style in the air.